In this video, we are going to fix one of the most common issues with the Axial Base Camp. It's this huge overhanging big bumper that sticks out on the back of the truck here. We're going to do some radical changes in order to really make this better for crawling. Welcome folks, if you're new to the channel, my name is Troy and this is Roadside RC. On the channel you'll tend to find me crawling and bashing and drifting and racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. And this Axial Base Camp, I've had it for a while now. Clearly you can tell there's been some modifications done to it already. Really, it's a fairly capable truck overall, but I'm having one major issue with it, and it's this bent, deranged bumper back here. So if you're not familiar, this bumper sticks back almost 3 total inches from the lip here, about 75 millimeters. And two things happen. One, as you're climbing, it tends to hit. And then if you try to back up, it grabs and actually ends up bending. Look at how much this thing's been bent now. It has really been weakened by how much it's been hit. So I am about to get very aggressive. Most people say they don't like the look of this body anyway. Probably going to make it look worse. I am going to come in here and I'm going to remove a whole section of this bed, slide the whole thing forward, move the whole bumper forward, do everything that I need to get it all mounted back up to dramatically improve the rear clearance on this truck. As with any modification, you have to have a baseline. Now I'm going to measure two things. I'm going to put this ruler directly on the tire and I'm going to look at how far it comes out. And that's basically at the 70 millimeter mark. Second thing we're going to look at is what is the clearance, what is the depart angle that we have here. Now I'm going to even cheat a little bit. This bumper's been bent. I'm going to try to bend it back some. And that's it's hovering right about 40 degrees on that on the angle finder here. So we have about a 40 degree depart angle, and we have about 70 millimeters. Now it's time to start cutting. I put this tape straight across here as a guideline, and then I'm going to take my handy dandy Lexan scissors and we're going to go straight across here and hack this whole thing off. Well, that's different, isn't it? I guess there's no turning back now. Here we are. So we could, I guess, just yank this rear bumper off and just leave the whole thing as is. Call it kind of a race truck look where we're letting all the air through. But, yeah, we can do more than that. So we're going to take the bumper off and we're going to actually try to sink this whole rear piece up something like this, where we're actually shortening the whole body and then reattach it, then marry the bumper up to how far up that is. If I'm honest, here's where my mind was going initially. Literally shove it all the way in like this, tap some screws, figure out what to do for a bumper back here. I could still maybe do this. That almost lines up with the bumper here. Problem is, of course, is this bumper even smashed into here is going to stick out way far. I need to modify it to where it can go in all the way up there. But maybe I can do that. So before I do anything more to the body, I'm going to look at modifying the bumper receiver to see if it can come in anymore. And I'm going to look to see what I need to do to actually modify this bumper. My thought here is basically I'm going to take out everything here, top, bottom, sides, in order to make it to where it could slide into the receiver all the way up to this point. We have started completely hacking this thing apart. If you'll notice, all of this webbing is gone all the way in here, top, bottom, sides. But now in order for it to fit on, we need to at minimum cut this straight across. So we're going to do that and then see how it fits. Here is how far I got. So I literally hacked the bumper as much as I thought I could. I even took a little bit of material off the bumper mount to get it to slide in more. At that point, we can move this whole thing in And we are shortening up that whole piece by 35 millimeters. So remember, that was sticking out there by 75 millimeters at the bumper. And we are shortening up that by 35. We're halving that distance in there. That's going to make a huge difference. I was looking to gain even more, and there's about another 15 millimeters there that I thought I could get. But the problem is it puts the whole rear tailgate in front of even the bumper mount. So I could probably do that if I was comfortable leaving the whole rear bumper off, but I kind of do want to run at least some semblance of a rear bumper. And so if I'm going to do that, this is as far as we can get it right here. So now that means it's time to look at how are we going to mount this two pieces back together. To remount all this back together, I have some thin, very thin and narrow 3M double-sided tape. I have this very small hand drill bit plus some little self-tapping screws. And when I say little self-tapping screws, I mean little self-tapping screws. And what we're going to do is put a strip of tape along in here, adhere both of those back together. So that's going to be part one. Then we're going to come in here with these very small drill bits, drill some holes, use the screws to help screw it all back together. That should make it nice and strong. This process is working rather well. So I have the little drill with a 1.2 millimeter bit in it. Hold it up, spin it. You can just easily spin it by hand while holding the Lexan. It goes through. Small precision screwdriver, 1.4 millimeter by 3. Yep, by 3 millimeter screws appear to be just the right length to go through. And so you just screw those in. You can feel it grab, and it holds both parts. You can just barely feel the screw tip on the other side. So with this, we're able to go through and do this all around this piece. I'm probably going to put a couple more parts, maybe another one in here. I'm going to put a few across and then work my way down the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and admit something. I thought this was going to be horrible. I thought this was going to end up being a very bad idea, and it was going to be very ugly. But that actually looks pretty good if I do say so myself. Look, we can cut the fender to where it comes down to the body. The screws across look okay. They kind of look, you know, uniform and like they're supposed to be there. Overall, for the whole truck, it actually doesn't look bad. So now we got to find out how much distance and angle did it really save us. All right, when we first did this, we were about 75 millimeters back to that bumper. We are now, that's about 35. I mean, you know, obviously 35 to 40 millimeters. We have gained a noticeable amount there. And then when we look here from the tire coming up to the bumper, I am now at 55 degrees. So where we were at 40 before, we gained 15, like 15 degrees of angle. That is a noticeable amount. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm actually pretty happy with that. Now, if you already had the little screwdriver and if you already had the little screws and tape, then basically this is free. There's really no cost, just some time. I mean, I think it probably took me total hour, something like that here to do all this. So, you know, you could do the same thing for basically free. If you don't have the little screwdriver and if you don't have the screws, I'm going to have links to those down below in the video description. They were pretty dang cheap. So, and enough screws to do a million bodies, like a lot of screws in there. So, you know, this is something that you could easily do to your base camp and really improve the rear approach angle and everything on the truck. Now, if you're going to do this, you probably also want to trim the front bumper and the front fenders. So I'm going to leave you today with a video right over here for how I did that. So thank you for your time today. Go check that one out, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you, and goodbye.